Hello, everyone. Good morning. Good morning to all my Watercolor Wednesday people. I'm so glad to be on with you. Hello, everyone. And I see your comments coming in. I just love that, you guys. Thanks for hopping on and saying hi. I got to go through my list here so I can say hi to my people. Kathy is on bright and early. Hello, Kathy. And Terry, she says, good morning, everyone. Waiting for today's watercolor to start with my Pepsi in hand. Okay, well, Terry, I'm still on coffee, although I'm on coffee most of the day, so that doesn't really count. So good to have you on. Hello, Brenda from Minnesota. Looking forward to the class. Okay, you guys, so we started out, well, Kim started this way back Wednesday thing, and you guys really love that. So sometimes these things, and we have so many watercolor sets now, and so many new ones that come out, and we always hate to discontinue them too soon because there are always so many new people that jump on and just are starting. So we have, now taken the opportunity to go back to some of these sets that may have come out a few years ago. They're not, it's not like a throwback, but it's something that came out a few years ago that maybe you have and you need a fresh idea. So we're going to do that today. So Leah picked out two sets and I put them together. And we also put them on sale. So they are on sale today at a great discount. So you can grab those if you don't have them already. If you do have them, get them out and do this project with me because, some of these sets that have been around for a while, they're great sets and there just isn't enough time to get to them all again. So what happens is, we release them, we make some samples, do a tutorial, and then, we move on to something else that's new. And some of these sets are they're so cute. So today it's the watercolor pond set and the watercolor little girls set. So this is 5053 and 5424. So, and I'll show them again to you once I switch my camera around, but that's what we're going to do today. So Leah gave me these two sets and I put them together. And the thing is, you guys, so many of these things will go together. They really will. And it's really kind of fun to think outside of the box and take some of your sets that maybe you haven't used in a while and think about a way to put them together with something that you wouldn't maybe think they would go with. So that's what we're going to do today. It's going to be really fun. It's a really fun tutorial and it was fun for me to get out some of these things that I haven't used in a while. So let me finish saying hi to my people here and then we'll get to our project. So, okay, Sandy from Brookings, hello. Elaine, of course, from Albany, just down the road from us. Kimberly Ann is on. So she has got hours and hours in the day now that her kids are off to school today. Yeah, right. We know how busy moms are, even if their kids are in school. So she has ushered her two out the door this morning, and she is on live she's on comments with me. So hello to Kimberly Ann. She says, hi everyone, wish I was live with you today. Oh yeah, she loves being on here. And this whole way back Wednesday thing was her idea. And you guys have just loved it. We've gotten so many positive comments about it. And it's really kind of fun because you kind of forget these sets. I do. I forget about them. And then I bring them back and I'm like, wow, why haven't I been using this more often? So I hope I will inspire you guys to get some of these things out again. Let's see, Patricia, sunny and warm Maryland, welcome. Peggy, hello. Suska, good morning. Good to have you on. Linda, hello, everyone. She says, Carol, good morning. Zilla, hello. Good to have you. Faith, welcome. So glad you're on with us. Hello to you. Let's see, who else is on here? Laura, Laura from Pasadena. Good to have you. And the other cool thing is you guys saying hi to everyone else and each other on here. I just love that. So continue to say hi to each other. I love it. Diana, good morning from San Jose. Christy from Illinois. Let's see. Jane, happy Wednesday to you. Sherry from Southern California. Ellen from the Netherlands. Hello. Good morning or good afternoon or evening, whatever it is there. Joy is on. Hello to Joy and Barb from Michigan. From Windy Netherlands. Wow, good to have you on. Sherry and Simone and Teresa and Michelle is on. Wow, we get Michelle on today. Hello, Michelle. Good to have you on. Talented, brilliant Michelle. Okay, raise your hand if you love to see Michelle post. If you've never seen Michelle Hoskins post, okay, first of all, join one of the stamp groups if you aren't already. The Art Impressions Way and the Art Impressions Stamp Group, both on Facebook, both private groups, but very welcoming and absolutely great at encouraging and inspiring each other. And Michelle is on there and posts quite often. So you will have to check her out. She is, if you want to be inspired, look at some of Michelle's work because my hand is raised. I love seeing when she posts. And honestly, you would just be blown away by the talent on these groups. Because on ours, our professional group, you can't post on ours, but you can post on these other fan groups, and just the things that they post on there, absolutely brilliant. And the inspiration and the encouragement to each other, it's so fun to just get on there and just scroll and see what they are creating. So check that out, and the other brilliant artists on there. So good to have Michelle on. Ruth Ann, hello. Good to have you on today. Velda, hello. Linda, hello from Wisconsin. Lorraine, good to have you. She says, happy to catch another live. We're happy you are on live with us. Love it. Julie, she says, actually gets to paint with me today. I'm so happy. Good for you, Julie. Mary, hello from Michigan. It's pouring. Oh, wow. Well, you know what? In 5 minutes, it could change here too. So we get it. Barbara, she's painting along. Okay, yeah, you guys tell me if you're painting along with me today. You have a little bit of time to get your things together. That's why we do the 10-minute warning on here, so that you can get your supplies together and you can paint along with me. And I will try to not rush through, not go too fast. Let's see, Teresa, hi from Virginia. Hello. Veronica, good to have you on. Diana says, such a cute scene. It is. You know what? These things are, and when I'm doing it, and I've done it in a long time, I'm thinking that exact thing. Like, oh, this is so cute. Wow, these go together really well. Thanks, Leah. Thanks for that. Let's see. Ginger, hello. Linda from Chico, good to have you on. Pat, good morning. Linda says, some of my favorites. Great. Okay, Diana says, love some of these tutorials on some of the oldie but goodie sets. Brings new inspiration on some sets that we may have forgotten about. Exactly. That's exactly why we're doing it, because it does bring them back. And I understand about kind of getting in a rut, and I do that too. I'll pick my same things because they're handy, and I'll just grab them and I'll use them instead of going back and looking at some of these things again that are just so fun to do. You guys, this project today is just so much fun. You guys will love making it. Let's see. Okay, let me scan through here a few more. Let's see. Good afternoon, Linda. Irene from Oklahoma. Loving tutorials for the older stamps. Okay, Julie. Good to hear good to hear you guys' feedback on some of these things, because it really helps us. We think that this is what you want, but we would like you to tell us what you want also. Madge from Augustine, good to have you. Sheila, good morning from Massachusetts. Well, I guess it's not morning there in Massachusetts. Good afternoon. Kristen, good to have you guys. Monique from Holland. Okay, welcome. Patricia says, I need help organizing all of the stamps and dies. Okay, you organizers. Patricia needs help, so I can't help her with organization. I need help too. So if you have some tips for us, both of us, that would be great. Shirley from Arizona, good to have you. This is great, you guys. Welcome. Oh, from rainy Belgium, Veronica. Oh my. Okay, let's see. Have I said hi to everyone? I think so. Okay, you guys, let's get to our project. This is, it's a simple one, and it's a really fun one. And you'll want to, I promise you'll want to get this pond out again. And you'll want to get these little girls out again too. So let's switch over. and I will show you exactly what we're going to be doing. So if you are just now jumping on and you want to do a quick screenshot of the supplies that we're doing, I'll give you a second to do that. It's not taking a lot of things. So basically, you know, the two basic sets are the little girl, obviously, and the pond that we have kind of grouped together. And then I'll show you what else I'm going to be using, but a lot of things can be switched out, including the structure in the back. So I put this little barn in the background, but you know, a little cottage would be so cute back there, a smaller barn, a bigger barn, any kind of little structure would be really cute. You could also switch the little girl out with the little boy, which would also be cute. So there's a little girl set and a little boy set. So you could switch those out too if you want to. Okay, so let's now move everything out of the way. And I will show you exactly what we're going to be doing here and what we're going to be using. Okay, so let's zoom in a little bit here so you can see what we're going to be doing. So in these two sets, so these are the two sets that this is built around, are these two. And here's the little girl set, and this is the one that we're going to be using right here. And I've got her feet dangling in the pond. So kind of depending on where you are putting the edge of the pond, you know, if you want her to kind of be sitting on a rock and maybe the pond is in front of her, you're going to just elevate her by dropping these things down a little bit. So in other words, instead of stamping the rocks next to her, you want to stamp them below her. And that will bring that ground level up and bring her up a little bit. And then you'll be able to see more of her legs. Okay, hope that doesn't confuse you guys, but this way, in this case, I put it next to her so that here's the edge of the pond right here, and you can see her legs are dropped down into the pond. So she's sitting on the side with her legs in the water. And the other thing that you want to think about with something like this is you can see where her eye level is, and she's obviously looking at something. And so when I put these little ducks in the water, I want them to be in her line of vision. So if you were to just take a little pencil and draw a line straight down, you could see that the ducks are right here. Now, to make sure that you're kind of getting them in the long place, do that. Just take a ruler and put a line or a straight edge like this, and just draw a little line straight down, you know, with your pencil. And you can see that she's looking right at these little ducks. The other thing you can do with these little kids is you can change the eyelash. And I remember telling you this when I did my first tutorials with these, but the eyelash will also change where the eye is looking. So if the eyelash is down like this, her line of vision now is down this way. She's looking down farther. If the eyelash is up, and these are so tiny, but it takes just a tiny little stroke, but you totally get what's happening here. You can see how her eye has changed on here. Does that make sense to you guys? Now she's looking this way. So if you miss that line of vision and you're stamping this in here, you miss that line of vision, just change her little eyelash. Just change that. And it will make such a difference. This little girl too, and you can see that she looks like she's looking straight up, but if you change her eyelash down, she's looking down into the water or down onto the ground, and you can have a little, you know, character, a little dog or somebody down here by her. So it's just a simple little trick. This one too, you can do the same thing with the little eyelash. So when you move it up, it changes that line of vision and makes it look like she's looking up or down. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind when you're stamping it. And you can see on this one, I've got her looking down at this little bird. But in actuality, you know, on the stamp, the eyelash is actually looking more straight ahead. So here's the actual line of the eyelash, and it's looking more straight ahead. But in this case, dropping it drops her eye down, and she's looking straight at the little bird. So you kind of always want to keep that in mind. You know, if you've got a focal point like this, and you've got, you know, especially a little kid like this, obviously they're going to be looking at the ducks. So keep that in mind. You could either put this little line in and put them in her line of vision, her natural line of vision, or you can change her little eyelash and make her looking down like this. Okay? All right. So this one, and then in the pond, there are all these little pieces. So the ducks come in the pond, the little lily pads come in here, the cattails. We're going to be using these in here as well as the little ducks. So this is a really, really good set. And you can see on here on the sample where the lily pads are and the little flower that kind of goes into the water. So we're going to change it up a little bit and make it a little bit different. There's no image of the ducks on the package. So I'm going to just show you how to color those. We're going to just make them mallards, and I'll show you how to color those in this little project. Okay, so these two are on sale right now through Sunday, Joel, right? Through Sunday. And you can get them for a, what is the discount? 50% off. 50% off on these until Sunday. So they're a great deal right now. And if you don't have them, you might want to just snag them before Sunday. So these two are on sale. So let me show you what else we're going to be using. So I put a little structure and I put these little rocks next to her. So I used the small stone scene. This is another one that I haven't used in a long time. So I got this out and I set these right next to her. And it kind of, it gives you a definition as to where the pond is. So you can see that these are right next to the edge of the pond. And putting them there kind of gives you a natural boundary. Then you can add your cattails and things kind of next to it. Especially if you're doing something that's kind of open-ended. So in other words, it doesn't have a boundary. You know, you can make it have a boundary, just something like this. This is actually would even fit something like this, where you can just draw a line around it and tape it off with masking tape. And then you have everything in a square like this. So you can kind of bring your color, your sky over to the edge. You can put your cattails in, and you kind of have an end to where things are. But when you kind of leave it open-ended, it's kind of good to still put in some sort of boundary. And you want things to kind of be in a circle. If you're going to leave it open, an oval or a circle, because it sort of gives the impression that things just continue to go out. I hope that makes sense. But it does. Your eye will just kind of naturally see things that way. So when you put things in an oval, kind of an oval, think about that. Even if you just draw in a pencil oval around it, it will kind of give you that impression. So obviously these things kind of go out a little bit more and then they come back in. So a little narrower than they are wide, or a complete circle. So if you kind of keep that in mind, you'll have a little better idea of the composition and how to kind of put these things together. Okay, so let's move on here. So the stones this is the small rock set. And we're using this one, this long border right here. This one would also be cute. Any of these would be cute. You could use any of these. Let's see what else. The structure, so the little barn. So here is the barn, and it is from the truck set. And you might have this already, and in that case, just use it. If you don't have it, use any little structure that you have. You know, a little house, maybe you have a smaller barn, maybe you have a bigger barn. You can still put that in the background. What you want to do is, and I'll show you when we go to start our project, is you want to kind of have a little bit of a division between the two. Now, obviously this is in the foreground, so anything in the background is going to be smaller. It's going to be smaller. And because we are dropping this pond down, so it's obviously flat here. It's kind of a good idea to make this a bit of a hill here. And it just, it will sort of give you a better dimension as far as putting things in and putting them at kind of at eye level, because you'll be able to kind of add more florals going up. If you make everything kind of at eye level, you would have to kind of tuck this barn way down in here, and there would be a lot of middle ground. But if you do this simple little thing by just elevating it a little bit up, a little higher, and putting just a little hill in, just with your pencil, just put a little hill in, and that sort of solves that problem. And it makes it look way more natural. Way more natural. Julie says Julie says her pond set 5424 does have the ducks in it. Okay. She says, I just noticed they're not included. Leah, are you on to kind of address that? Julie, send Leah an email about that. Send her an email about that and see if you can figure out what happened with that. She says, I just noticed they aren't included, but it does have the ducks on it. Okay, they should be included. Yeah, they should be included. Yeah, just send Leah feedback@artimpressions.com. Just message Leah and explain to her that you have set 5424 and doesn't have the ducks in it. Just in my set. I'm sure there are in others. No worries. Well, still, Julie, send her a message and Leah will fix whatever is wrong. She will fix, if they're missing, she will take care of that. Okay, so let's continue on here. So you can use, so putting a little hill in the background will really kind of drop this area down here and it will kind of cut in this little pond. So it's all kind of just a visual illusion really. But it's a simple little trick. It's just a simple little trick and basically it's putting a little hill in the background and elevating your barn just a little bit. That's it. That's all there is to it. Okay, so we've got that. And then as far as foliage, you can put whatever you want in here. Now in this case, I just use the tops of these little florals, just the tops, because I put a little grassy bank in here and I wanted it to be a little more random than just this grass right here, this long grass. I didn't want it to be this tall. So I used my little grass that is from this set and I just stamped the top, over the top of it. So that's kind of a fun idea too. You can easily do that. So that's what we're going to be using out of here. Let's see, is there anything else out of here? Nope. And then this one. So this one, the only thing we're using is the little grass in this set. In this one, the little trees. So just this one right here, and then the foliage that goes on the trees. Then we're making one, just a little white dogwood tree because still we'll consider it spring. Spring/summer/fall. Okay, you guys, let's get to it. Let's get to it. And I'll do a recap at the very end and just show you those sets that are on sale. And you can get them on our website right now. All right, so let me show you how to stamp this. So you can see that the perspective, if we just start to color this, it's going to be a little harder to show the pond and show the hill, show the perspective because it looks like everything is just stamped in a big circle. So that's why it's really important to kind of think about this a little bit in the beforehand. So remember your small item, your small thing goes in the background and your large image is in the foreground. Now she will obviously always be in the foreground because I don't know if there's anything bigger than her that would go in front of her unless it's some wildflowers or something like that. So she will be in the foreground. And again, her line of vision is here. So if you want to stamp it exactly the way that I have, the first thing I did was just stamp this little girl. I just kind of stamped her in the middle off to the side and I just used one color with her. I used the 969, stamped her off twice because these are rubber. These are rubber stamps, all of these. So I stamped her, I inked her in this color, stamped her off twice, and then stamped her onto my watercolor paper. The rest of these things are stamped in the 3 colors. So the blue first, the 565, and the 969, and stamped off twice. Also stamped off twice for both of these things. So stamp her first, and then tuck this little edge of the barn. Just tuck it right in. Let's just move in a little closer here. When you're lining this up, use your stamp positioner like this. Just use your stamp positioner, stamp your barn on here, and you can just kind of, put the edge of the barn right here in between her little bow and the top of her head. And it works right there. Unless you want to make your image bigger and you want to spread it out a little bit, which you can do too. But if you want to keep it kind of in these parameters, just tuck that barn just right into here. Okay? And then right next to her is where the rocks go. Just right next to her, stamp this row of rocks. And then up above, just in her line of vision, the ducks. So just like that. They can go up a little bit higher. You can see on my original one, they were up just a little bit higher. So you've got some play. It doesn't have to be this exact spacing. It doesn't. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to pencil in the ground. So, you know, where she, you know, the perspective of everything. I guess that's a good word. So we want to set this little barn on a hill. And just keep your lines really light because you can easily erase them all. And then we're going to put just another one back here, just like that. And then we'll put our trees in here, we'll put our little fence in here, we'll add foliage and everything all around here. So this is good for the background. And you can see now, you get an idea of how this little pond will sit down at the base of this hill. So now we want to kind of pencil this in. And you can kind of, you know, pencil this pond in whatever shape that you want to put it in. So maybe something like that. You don't want to, you know, if you don't have to put the ducks completely in the water, in other words, we don't want to have them completely surrounded by the blue water. And this will also make it look like it's set down into the ground below the hill. Okay? Now, when we grow these things up, we can see that this is in the background. We can see the hill in the background. And it just kind of lifts everything up, elevates everything up. And now we can stamp our foliage in here, you know, our cattails, and put our little grasses and everything back here in the back. Okay, that's really all we have to do. All right, so let's get going here, and let's see if I can just zoom out a little bit so we can still see this. I already have the ponds and the rock. Okay, Barb, she said she just put in an order for the little girls. Already have the pond and rocks. Okay, great. Great, she's already got that set. Perfect. Okay, well then you can check this video out on the archives and you will be able to duplicate it when you get that set. Okay, so let's get started here. I've got my water. It's off the screen, but I've got my water here. And I'm gonna dip my brush. I'm using my number 4. Just going to dip my brush and get all the bubbles out of it. And then just pinch it off. So we're pinching it off because we want to get all the extra water off of it. And then remember, after that, we're just dipping the tip, just the tip. So I'm going to just start in here and I'm going to just drag this color out from the bottom of the barn. Okay, so then let's move on over. So we've already finished that. That was easy. So let's go over to here to this little girl. And we don't really want to add too much color from the lines because we want to add that skin color in. And so we don't want to, we're going to be adding a lot of color to her and a lot of light color. So we don't really want to go in and get too much color from these lines. So let's just skip down now to the rocks. And remember, when you're doing the rocks, the color is at the bottom. It's always at the bottom. So the very top of the rock is always going to be lighter. And then we're going to be adding some more color into all of these things. Let's go in just a little bit with these little ducks. Not too much because we're also going to be adding a lot of color to them. So I think that's pretty good, just like that. Okay, so let's just kind of start at the top and we'll just work our way down. Let's start with the barn. And let me get some color onto my palette. So I've got some green. This is the 177. We need the watercolor. So the color of the water is, because it's a pond, we want it to be a little green. So not really a bright blue. I mean, you can if you want to, but when I see cattails, I just automatically think of kind of green water, you know, kind of swampy green water. And so you can get that by mixing colors. So I'm going to put this blue right next to the green so that we can mix those. 26. We can also take a little bit of this color. This is at 312. This is really a mix of those two colors. So we can use some of this too. So 3, 12. And you know, it's always about trying to get different shades of color into your project so that you don't have it all looking the exact same. That's really what we don't want, is everything looking the exact same. One single color in the pond. Okay, 685, so we're going to add this. This is the color of her little shirt, 685. And then we've got her hair color is brown, so 947. And we want just a little bit of red for her cheeks, 856. And let's see, what other color? Oh, we need some blue for shadow. So this is the dark blue, the 565. I think I'm gonna have to smooth this out here. This is 565. So we've got some of that blue and blue for the sky as well. Okay, so let's just start out by putting some color into the sky so that we can add our trees in. And we're just gonna kind of brush this in just a little bit, you know, kind of here and there. And then we can put some over here. And just kind of drag it out. And remember, think about the oval. Okay, so this is going to be narrower than the middle. The middle is going to come out a little bit farther than what's up here. Same with down here. So it's just gonna, you know, drop down a little bit. Just think about the middle part is going to probably be the widest part. Okay, so we got our sky in. So let's add our shading to that little barn. And this side of the barn is in the shadow. So let's just color this in with a shadow. And here, and so is this. This kind of sets back a little bit back here. So let's just give that a little shadow too. And then we need this dark shadow right here, right along the edge of that roof, that overhang. And then we also need a little bit under here and here also. Okay, so let's add some color now to the door. And I just made this a door. You can make this an opening, but I just closed it in. And this door too. And then we'll put some color on the roof. Leave just a, you know, little bit of a highlight at the very top. Just so that it doesn't look like it's perfectly smooth. And we're gonna kind of add some detail to it so it looks more like a tile roof. So we'll just get this first layer of color on and then we'll come back to it. And then we also need a little bit of the roof line there and a little bit of that green there. Okay, so now let's go in with the twin tone and we'll darken these windows and get this detail in. And you can, wherever you have room for detail, sometimes you can put, you know, more detail in the window. Other times it's going to be really simple. Like maybe this one, we could get a little more detail in. And these are going to be pretty small. We could still get a little bit of detail in there. And then up in here, you know, this at the peak of the roof, that's always going to be darker. This down here and underneath. Okay, and then we're going to add some white to the door. Just some little white detail to the door, so we'll come back to that. And let's add a little more green now to the roof, and we can kind of do some little details on here and make this kind of look like a tile. Just follow the lines of the roof with your details. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just the idea of it, remember you guys, just the idea. Okay, so now we'll just take a little bit of this and, we'll just add a little bit of color kind of in the background like this, and maybe a little bit over here as well. And then we'll just put a little bit in over here. So we kind of need a little driveway, a little road leading up to the barn. And then let's get our little hill kind of blocked in here. So not too much. And remember, by the faces, you always want to keep it light. So don't bring your color right up to her face. You want to leave a little space there. Same with these little ducks. So you can see over here on the sample, see this light area around the duck here? It's really small and it's going to have color on it. So we want to really highlight that duck. This is where the focal point is, the little girl and the ducks. So we don't want to just block this in with so much color that you can't see it. So just leave this area kind of lighter, and the same with her here. You can see by her face, the flowers don't come clear up to her face. So those areas, you want to make sure that you leave those light around those areas. And then we can just take just a little bit of the blue and we can just put in just a little path here. Just like that. That's it. Okay, so let's keep going. We've got our little barn done. So let's keep going. Let's go down to let's do the rocks. So we're going to take our brown twin tone, and let me zoom in. We're going to take the fine tip and we're going to add just a little bit of color in these cracks where the rocks are sitting next to each other. And if you maybe think some of these lines are just a little light, we're just going to add a little bit of color in that. Notice it's kind of at the bottom here, so we don't really do too much at the top because that's where the highlight is. So let's do the same with the blue. We're just going to go right over it, just a little bit, with the blue, just a tiny little bit, just tiny little lines, just where they intersect. And then we're just going to drag this color out. And we'll get a lot more color and color variation into the rocks. And you can see how that just kind of changed everything up. And if you want to, you can just add a little green in here. Maybe some grasses kind of growing in here, so we can add a little bit of that too. And now you've got a lot of natural color just in your rocks. Catherine says, a second rock from the left has a face. It does? Second rock from the left. This one does. Catherine, you're going to have to really point it out to me. Looks like an otter, LOL. Okay. Well, you know what? Maybe it is a little otter peeking its head up. You could certainly make that. You could put the little face on here with the little ears looking right up at this little girl. How cute would that be? You guys, just let your imagination just go. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's do the little girl. So let's get her colored in. So we're going to take a skin tone. So this is the 912. This is kind of a good basic skin tone. Now you can go darker or lighter if you want to, depending on what ethnicity you want your little child to be. But just start light. And then you can make another pass and go just a little bit darker. And where she's kind of facing, so she's kind of facing the ducts, so let's kind of leave that area just a little bit lighter, and we'll make the back of her arm just a little bit darker. And you can keep adding color to this. You can add a little cooler brown, or you can add a little warmer brown to the skin tone if you want to. And then just a little bit of, I'm just grabbing a little bit of the red and just adding that to her cheek. So let's get some of this brown, and we'll just put in her hair color here. And you can see the top. We want to leave the top with the highlight. Just leave this area kind of at the top. In other words, we just never color, try not to ever color anything solid. And under here, under her little bun, it's going to be darker. Same back here. And then let's get her little shirt and stay in each section. That's the other rule. Don't cross the lines. Top of her shoulder, it's going to have a little highlight. And just take your time. It's so much fun. And then we'll just get her little headband. And then if you want it darker, just go back in and make another pass. And make it a little bit darker. And if it's easier also to use your little brush, do that too. Just use your smaller brush. Okay, so when that's dry, we'll go through and we'll put a little more detail into her shirt. But for now, we're going to leave her overalls white. So we're just going to do a little shadow with the blue. So clean off your brush and then just dip it into the blue. And under here, this is where it's going to be the darkest, underneath. Her little pants are. And I forgot her leg. A little bit of her leg is showing. And let's just go a little darker under her sleeve and the back of her arm. Okay, so now I'm going to just put in, let's see, I'm just going to add a little darker area here. And then I'm just going to darken her little eyelash. Just like that, so we can really see where her eye is looking. And really, there's nothing else on her face that you need to darken. And it's probably better not to, so that we don't get it too dark. Her little jeans right here. And then let's just take the bullet tip of the brown, and we'll just add a few more little details of her hair. Isn't she cute? Ruth Ann says, yes, I can already see better. Oh yeah, Ruth Ann, how was are you guys asking about her cataract surgery? She had that yesterday. Let's see, I'm missing your comments, you guys. Okay, third rock, she says. Catherine. Yes, you guys, if you would like to be interested in the drawing, absolutely comment that. And Leo will pick a winner, and it just could be you. So be sure to put that in the comments that you would like to win this. Okay, so let's get a little more of this purple, and I'm going to switch to my little brush. Switch to my little brush, and let's get some little stripes into her shirt. So I'm going to turn this because it's just going to be so much easier. And the way that the shirt is, the sleeve is kind of by itself. So it will kind of come up, you know, at the shoulder like this. So I always do the sleeves first. And then the back is just straight across. And that will make it look a lot more natural. And the same here. So this will come down, see, like this. And we've got her little shirt. And under, you know, darker underneath, back in here. Darker than up here. Okay, so now that I've got my little brush, I'm going to go to the ducks. And if you know mallards, the males are just beautiful. They have these beautiful green heads, and then the females are very plain. They're very plain and brown. So we're going to color them like that because this is, you know, a little match pair. So we're going to make the he and the she. So we're going to do the head with this green, bright green. And it really is just the head. And it's pretty dark. And then there's just a little, kind of a little ring. Well, let's do the bill too. Let's move this over a bit. This is 933. It doesn't matter what orange. You can use any orange. But let's get some of this orange and do his little bill and her little bill. And then he's got this brown, there's just a little, kind of a little ring. And then he's got this brown section. And this other brown, kind of brown section where his tail is. And then a little of this other brown. So this is the 969 brown. So we're going to take just a little bit of this and we're just going to add it to the top of his feathers. And that's just kind of basically what he looks like. Let's just get this a little darker in here because this is pretty dark. And you know, I've seen mallards, you know, many times, but I couldn't remember how to color them. I had to look it up. So if you're not sure when you're coloring some of these things, Google or chat or just look up an image and it will show you. So now she's pretty plain. And still we don't want to just color her in solid. And especially where her face is, we can leave that just a little bit lighter. Okay, and then we're going to take that twin tone and we're going to darken the eyes, because this little guy, his eye is kind of lost in here. They kind of have these longer eyes. And you can just add a few more details in here if you want to. Karen, coming in a tad late. So cute. Would love to be entered to win. You are entered to win, Karen. You absolutely are. And welcome. We're so glad you're here. Okay, so now what are we going to do here? Let's do the water, so that we kind of have a boundary as to where everything's going. Or should we do the grasses? No, let's do the water. So we're going to kind of mix. And actually, let's get a little more space here so that we can kind of mix this water. So we're going to add some green onto here. And this is the 177. So warm green and then warm blue. So 526. And you want to use your bigger brush. And still pinch it off, but get, a good amount of water on it too. So you can kind of mix these colors. And then, always, again, start light. And that's kind of a little bright green. So let's just add a little bit more of this in here. A little more blue. And let's put a little of this on here too. This is the 312. And the whole idea is that you just get different colors. You just get different colors in here, so you don't have all the same. And see, I'm still leaving this kind of light where his face is too. And so this is going clear up to here, because her little feet are in the water. And then underneath, there's going to be, a bit of a shadow under here, under them, where they're swimming. So it's going to be just a little bit darker underneath here. And if you don't have, you can always use your white paint to kind of add a little more color too. And by the shore, the shoreline, there's going to be a little more green too. So we've got her kind of, sticking out of the pond a little bit, so we can really see her better. Okay, so now let's get a little of this green in here. We're going to just add a little bit of green behind her. And then we'll just put a little bit in here, kind of a little here. So now let's put in our cattails. So I'm going to take the large one. So there are two sizes of cattails. Let's look at that package again. So there are two sizes of these. We're going to use this one. And then on this side, we'll use the smaller one, just so you can see the difference. So on this one, I use both. Both of them are the large one. But the smaller one's really cute too. So I'm gonna do both so that you can kind of see the difference. So here's the large one, and I need to kind of block her off so that I don't stamp on the top of her. This is kind of a big stamp, and it kind of spreads out, and I don't want to stamp over the top of her. So I'm gonna use a piece of Post-it tape and just kind of cover her like so. And you can use your stamp positioner if you want to make sure you're getting to the right place. With this one, I mean, you can guess, pretty easily, where it's going. You can see where the bottom of the stamp is, which is what you really need to see is where the bottom is, because you really want the bottom kind of where she's sitting, so it doesn't come too far forward. So you can see right here, and actually let's just make a line here so we can see where the line of the ground is. And we don't really want to go down below that because we don't want that cattails to be down below where she's sitting. So let's ink this. Like so. And then we're just gonna stamp it twice. So once and twice, just like that. And now we can see, okay, that just looks perfect right there. That's exactly where we want it. And then we're gonna get another one over here. So let's try the smaller one over here. And we're gonna do the same thing. Let's just move this one up just a little bit higher. And let's stamp it in a couple of other times. Okay, so now we're gonna add some water to that. Come off the screen here. Let's add some water to this little foliage here. And then we'll do the same over here. And then we'll put, let's see, we can put the cattails in. Let's just do that. So here are the large ones. And I don't know, we might have to block her out again, maybe. Or if I'm careful, maybe I won't stamp over the top of her. I don't think I will. Okay, so I'm going to stamp this one more time in here. And then let's do the small ones. So I'm using, the brown I'm using is is this one. So the 969 and then the 177 green. So the green and then the little cattails. And we can just put those in like that. So now you can kind of see the difference in the size. And either one of them are going to work. You could use both small or you could use both large, or you could use one of each. And then we're just adding water. Just like so. All right, so now let's get some grass down in here. And we're just going to use this little grass. What color did you use for the cattails? This brown, the 969. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, let's keep going. So we're going to ink this grass now. And we want to especially make a line here where her hand is so that we can see the edge of the pond. I want to make that really definite right there. And then here where the rocks are, we'll add this in. And then we could put just a little bit of grass over here too. And then we're going to come to the other side. And we're just going to add the grass in here. And we're going to leave a space where this little duck is. Because we don't want to get too much of her covered. And you can see how that now this flat part where the pond is sitting down below the hill. And you can just see how that just kind of works. Okay, let's just get the grass in up here too. We'll get a little bit of this in, and then we'll put just a little bit in. And you know what, you guys, I'm just tapping the edge of the stamp. So I inked the whole thing, but I'm just tapping the edge. And a little bit back in here. And again, stay away from the face. So important to do that. And get a little bit in there, but you don't want the color ever to go clear to the face. Okay, so now we're going to put those flowers in. So we're just going to take this little flower, and we're just going to guess. And again, you could use your positioner if you want to make sure you're getting it in the right place, but I'm just going to guess. So I'm inking it in the blue. So this is the 565, the dark blue. And I'm just going to stamp it just right over the top. And I can just come over a little bit too here. And again, the way that you're tipping the stamp, you can get just a few of these on here. Just inking the edge. Just like that. And then add a little water to it. And you can see we've still got our little duck out in the open. Okay, and I'm going to take just a little bit of this green, and I'm just going to put a few more little lines in, straight lines. And you could, just kind of continue this water over here too. And make it look like it's just continuing. This little pond is just continuing to, who knows where. And let's just also then continue that little line too. Okay, so now let's get the trees in. We're just gonna put these in the background, and you can ink the tree in brown, or you can do it in the green, or you can do it in both. Let's just do it in both. And then we're just gonna stamp this in here a couple of times, like so, and then we'll ink the foliage. And just ink that up. And then let's put a little bit over here on the side, but we want to cover that. Let's just cover the barn roof, and then we'll add just a little bit of foliage over here. And then we'll just add a little water to it. And we've got our cute little trees. And just kind of drag it around. You can pull that color out to the outside and kind of drag these trees out a little bit if you want. And let's just make this barn a bit darker. Barn door. So let's get this back in here. And zoom out a little bit. Whoops. I want to put this little white detail onto the barn door, so I want to make sure that it's dark enough that it's going to show up. So, okay, let's see. We're going to add some white paint to it, so we're going to be adding some little white flowers. I think and close to the shore is where it's going to be the darkest, where your little pond is going to be the darkest, is right along that shoreline. And you can just keep adding color to the rocks too, because they're so fun to do. Just make sure that the tops are always light. That's like the only rule. Okay, so let's get the white paint out. I think we are good on here. I think we are good. I don't see anything else. Oh, I guess we need to add a little water to this tree. Right here. I kept thinking there was something else I was forgetting. A little bit over there. Okay, so now let's add in the white paint. So I'm going to switch to my little brush. And we're going to just add, get into the bottom of the jar here, but I've had, this paint lasts a long time. As much as I use it, it lasts a long time. Okay, so we're going to just add, you know, all these little white dots. So when you're doing a little white dogwood like this, you have to have some sort of color behind it. And so the easiest thing is to just make the tree, the regular tree, and then add the white to it. And just kind of fill it all in, just almost to where it's completely filled in. Like that. Isn't that cute? That's such an easy way to do it. And then, you know, we can add some little flowers in here, kind of in the foreground. And then we'll just add a few in here. And then, of course, we got to add a few more. And you know, where the colors are really dark, they're just really going to pop. And so you could put just a few really tiny ones in the background. Okay, so we're still gonna, do we have room for that fence? We might not have room for that fence now, but let's try. So let's just put in the little fence posts. Like so. And then just really a thin line to make the little bars across. And then let's do this little detail on the door. I guess we don't need to do anything on the other one, so let's just add these little details. This is the fun part when you're just kind of finishing it all up. And let's just add a little highlight on the edge of the roof. Let me get this white again. So you want to, you know, when you're doing these little details, you want to make sure your white paint is thin enough that you can get these really thin lines. And if you've got some dark areas on your roof that you want to kind of, you know, kind of clean up a little bit. And then we can add just a few little lines in the water. Just like so. Okay, you guys, I think we're finished. Michelle must be going to bed. Who knows what time it is? Michelle is in Australia, so who knows what time it is there. It's probably really, really early in the morning, really early. So she's saying good night, Empress. Very fitting. Very fitting. Okay, so I'm going to sign. And Leah will pick a winner for this little painting. And I hope you guys will give it a try. Okay, so let me switch back over and I will show you. Well, let me show you again which sets are on sale. So these are half off now, and just as a special till Sunday, because I'm using it in this project. So let me zoom out. There we go. And you can get these for half off. So this is the watercolor pond set, which has the ducks, lily pads, and it has these cattails. 5424, and then the little girl set 5053. This one. You can also get this one on sale, 5053, 50% off of your order right now. So let me switch over so I can say thank you and thanks for joining me. And have a great day, you guys. I love being with you. It's so much fun. I hope that I inspired you today. And to remember all those simple little tricks and tips, because it's about the little things. It really is. And sometimes you think those tiny little things don't matter, but they do. And the overall composition of your art, you'll be able to tell. And sometimes people can't tell exactly what it is about it, but your eye can tell if it's wrong. So if there's something that's not in perspective or something is bugging you about it, it's probably a little thing. Something like, something in the background, something crooked, something like that. So it's the little things that really, really make a difference. They really, really do. And the more that you paint, the more that you practice, the more that you'll just know what to do on some of these things. So I hope I inspired you to try this project. Now to do it myself, Tony says. You can. Yes, you absolutely can do it yourself. I want to see you do it. You guys are the best. Thanks so much for all your comments. Thanks for saying hi to me. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will be back next week. Next week is throwback already. Can you believe it? It's throwback. And I can't believe it. It's here already. So we're going to be doing throwback next week on Tuesday. I will be back to do that. And we'll have a really good time. You guys are going to love this one. It's really fun. So you guys have a great rest of your day, great weekend, and I'll see you back next week.